everybody, so we are going to be making a ceramic skull arrangement with some live red roses today. The spider and these creepy hands are just here as a little extra decor. I do plan on making this arrangement later on, but it shouldn't be up right away, so keep an eye out. So, obviously I need to take down these roses. They're way too big for my ceramic. Unfortunately, I was only able to get long stemmed, so it is what it is. So we're gonna get started with that. This may get broken down into a couple different parts depending on how quickly I can get through this. So let's see if I am able to do this in one shot or in two or maybe even three. So stick around with me and we will be making this super awesome skull into a really pretty arrangement. So to start, I need to cut my roses down, which is going to be so much fun. I am going to just use a box to throw away my extras because I don't need them. A project like this, we're going to be taking down the roses. A lot of times you would be using a stem puller. There is a range, but Garden Party stem puller is my absolutely favorite one. We carry this item. It's fantastic. It's continuing to be more and more popular year over year. So something that I recommend investing in is just a slightly nicer stem cleaner than a few others that we do carry and that I've seen. This one protects your hands. You're less likely to get stuck with a thorn, which is obviously, you know, nice. So stem puller, really great tool. I may not need to use it today just because I did buy dethorned roses and I'm cutting them down. But when you're working with roses, often you're gonna want this tool. And then obviously some shears. I need to cut the roses down, so it's the only way to really do it, unless you are brave enough to use a knife, which is not something that I do, but it is a technique. So my roses need to be cut down pretty short. I think I'm actually gonna take them off the table because they are too tall for this video. Bye roses, they will be back. And then my trash box. So to be honest, I haven't done one of these videos in a while, and I am not a trained designer. I just, you know, learn by myself and try to represent as accurately as possible what you would need to do to make these designs. If you're a designer and you feel that I'm not doing something right, I apologize. It's just, I'm homegrown. Okay, so here's my skull guy. I am going to be using foam. I'm going to be using Midnight Foam actually, so I don't need to cut them all the way to the base of the container, which, you know, will give me a decent amount. I'll probably cut them pretty similar to the height of the container, but I know that I will have some wiggle room because I'm using foam and the foam will make up for the spacing. It'll also make sure your roses don't die right away, especially if you're pre-soaking it in flower food, unless you're using Oasis, which should be pre-soaked or it already has flower food in it, so when you soak it, it should activate the flower food. All right, look how pretty this rose is. What a shame. We are cutting down such a beautiful long rose, but to be honest, I really just wanted to do this container over something like this glass container, which is a good option for Halloween in my opinion, and it's not one that we necessarily advertise as a Halloween container, but this one and the gray, which is like a smoky color, are really awesome glass pieces that just give off Halloween vibes depending on the arrangement you make, in my opinion. So that's just my 2 cents. May not agree, may completely agree, who knows. Okay, yeah, so that's, I think it's pretty good height. You may disagree, but I think it's good. And then giant stems that I am no longer needing. So I could take the stem cleaner and just rip it down on this, but to be completely honest, like, why not just do this really quick? So, and I need somewhere to put my roses. That is a good oversight. Don't really have, I mean, I guess I can just go into the skull. No. Hold on. sure. Again, this is another container that I think is really great for Halloween, and is technically an everyday container. It's a funeral container, but I just, how does this not give off Halloween vibes? It does. It does for me. Okay, so my roses are gonna go over here, and that little guy, this spider, go over there, and it should be safe and sound. Oof. Now this one has seen better days, much better days. I am going to peel this layer, this petal off. This one fell off. It looks better. Definitely not the healthiest rose I've seen though. And then just be careful when you're working with roses, because even though I don't necessarily have thorns on here, I've got little ones that are coming out, and I'm like, oh, hello. That feels really nice. But I'm sure you guys know that. Not sure if I want to take this petal off. I'm gonna leave it for now. Hope for the best. Another one. I'm not actually sure how many I really need for the inside of the skull. I'm thinking I have 4 so far. I feel like it's gonna be like 6. I have like, I think I have 12, so I might not need all of these roses. So once I get 6, which I'm very close to, I think I'm gonna go ahead and soak some foam and then see if I need to cut more. I am gonna soak the film off screen. When you're soaking film, it's best to get the way I like to do it is get a big bucket and just soak a couple at a time depending on how much you're working on. If you're only doing one, you could probably pop it in the sink if you really wanted to. But I'm gonna cut it and then cut it to the size and soak it. I think you soak it for about a minute. The box should have instructions on it, but I normally soak mine for about a minute. And if it's Oasis, then that's great. You don't need to add flower food to your water. It should already be in the foam itself. If it's not Oasis, I highly recommend adding some flower food into your water before you start soaking your foam, because that will make a difference in the lifespan of your arrangement. Might have cut this one too long. Let's see. That's 5. Let's look for a good one. Yeah. Unfortunately, I bought these roses a day or so ago. I was supposed to film yesterday, but something came up and I wasn't able to. So they're not as fresh as when I first got them, but they're still fine. They're still very pretty. Yeah. That might have to go. Let's see. Okay, so I have 6 roses. I am going to go ahead and soak the foam for these guys. I do want to point out that the roses would probably look fantastic in this container as well, and something that you could potentially do and just add in a few little accent pieces that would look really nice. I mean, honestly, maybe some feathers in with that would be pretty. So, if you can guess, I have some extra Halloween stuff to the side that you may see later in the video. A lot of the items we have in the Halloween category are not going to be in this video. It's just mostly this container. I don't think I'm going to do any stick-ups. I may do one. We'll see. We will see. Okay, so I'll be back once my foam is soaked. Alright, so this is some Midnight Oasis foam. To be fair, this box has been open for a minute, so I think it's faded a tiny bit, but it's just what it is. I have had this box since I think almost last year. So the foam's still good, no problem. It just may not look as fresh. So I'm gonna cut this foam down, and then I need to figure out what container I'm gonna soak it in because I didn't plan that out, which was really smart. So one thing that I've seen people do is they take the container that they're gonna use the foam on and they press up against it to kind of give themselves like guidelines for where they're gonna cut. I personally don't work with foam a whole lot. It's just not something I normally do, but I think it's a great tool and probably should. I just often work with silks and it doesn't really require it. I'm kind of being lazy and I'm not cutting that circle right away. If you were trying to be really conservative with your foam, I would recommend doing that. But I am at the point where I just kind of want to use this box. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to clean up this mess and then soak this foam real quick, which, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go actually soak it properly. So I will be back once I soak it. We'll pop it in and then start putting flowers in and see if we need to cut more. Okay, I am back. I went ahead and soaked my foam. I only needed like the tiniest little piece possible. So I used a little cup because I don't work in a studio. I'm working out of an office. So I'm putting my foam, which I cut down to size, just into my container. You can probably take some of the extra scrap pieces when you're cutting down and put it at the front of the skull to make sure that it doesn't slide around, or any other material that you like to just kind of reinforce your design. I'm going to take an extra piece of dry foam because the flowers are not going to be pushed into this area. I'm going to take a couple trial and errors to get where you want it to be. Yeah, that's about. Okay, cool. So my foam still a little movie. Let's put a little bit more in. And honestly, you probably don't need to do this, but I just want to make sure that this guy doesn't jostle around a whole lot once he's where he's gonna go. So it's really just an extra precaution. If you're designing professionally, then you probably have techniques that you like already. Don't need me to tell you. Okay, so I have my midnight foam inside my vase, which, to be completely honest, I didn't necessarily need to use midnight foam for this because you're not going to see inside the container. There shouldn't be holes. And midnight foam is really meant for when you don't want someone to be able to see the grain peeking through. So if we were making a arrangement with this container, the French, what's it called? I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but it's a nice item. It is plastic. I would use it in this because then you wouldn't see the gaps and it would hide this containers inside really well because it's also black. So I definitely cut some of these roses taller than I needed to, and I'm gonna have to trim them down as we're going through and doing this video. I think I'm gonna just get started on doing the roses. And again, earlier I was saying that I may need to cut a couple more. I have some more long stem down here that I hadn't cut fully. just because I felt like it might be around 6 or 7 roses, like that would fit in here like a standard size rose. These are in a range of starting to bloom and still not really blooming, but I'm sure you get the idea. Okay, so let's get started. I can just stop talking nonsense. I think this one, just not sure how I want to do this. The last time I used this container, I made it with a silk, and it was, what was it? Can't even think of the name of the word. I can't think of the flower, but I used a couple silks. They were red, and it looked really good with the red, and I loved how it came out. I don't know. It was really nice, and it got good feedback. This was like a year or 2 ago. This time I'm thinking, okay, let's do fresh. And we'll see how it comes out. I might be like, oh, I liked it with the silk more. Who knows? And again, I am not a professional designer, so if you have issue with things I'm doing, feel free to reach out to me, and depending on if it's something I can like easily adjust to, then I'm open to it. Yeah, and to be completely honest, I think the roses do look good, but I think I may be more fond of the last time I did it, which I literally told somebody what that flower I did last time was like in the last hour, so I'm like, what did I tell them? Like, how can I not remember it? It's like a super standard flower too. And then I'm also peeling off some of the rose petals that are just really not appealing. And then if I'm cutting, I'm trying to cut past any like nodules, like big nodules that are in the rose if it's close to where I'm starting or where the length is. So even if it's like, okay, I'm gonna cut the rose a little shorter than I wanted, I'm gonna go short because that nodule is just gonna put a big old hole in your thumb, which could be completely unavoidable. Like, you may not be able to avoid that, so, you know, if it happens, it happens. See, this rose is pretty. At least I think it's pretty. I'm gonna take that one out and replace like that. I'm gonna shorten this one a little bit. So I didn't take the nodule off on this one, which I should have. I'll put this one like right there. Yeah, I may need to cut one more rose down. But at the same time, I think I could get away without it. Okay, I'm gonna come up close. Give me a sec. So we have this really pretty rose arrangement. Obviously not some of the best roses you've ever seen, but I got them from the grocery store, so it is what it is. But this arrangement, oh, I should probably put a little bit more foam in there. 6 roses, regular size, fits this guy's head, so you could buy a dozen and get 2 ceramics done really easy. And if you're a designer, awesome. I think that this is a really great piece for the holiday, and you are definitely hitting that like seasonal vibe. And if you don't use them all, you have Day of the Dead too. But this is our Skull Ceramic. I will grab a catalog and get the exact item number. I should have checked that before I got on live, but I didn't. I think that the roses look great in it. They look even better if they're like really fresh and beautiful. They will bloom really nice, and it'll be really cool when they start blooming and you have petals falling off around him. That'll look really good. Now, if you wanted to, you can add some extra flair to him with some stick ups. There's lots of options. I have a bunch over here. So you can add feathers. The last time I did an arrangement with the skull, I added in, I think, one of these feathers. I broke it down and put it in like on the side, like he had like a little hat. And then I also took one of these guys, like I broke this pick down and I put him right here, and it looks so good with him. But I'm trying to be conservative and not use merchandise in a way where I'm completely damaging it, so that we actually have stock for everybody. So I don't think I'm going to be adding any accents to him today, especially since it's Friday, and even if I put him on the sales floor, he's going to get like an hour of love, unfortunately, because we are not open on the weekends here. So this is my skull arrangement with fresh roses. I think that it came out really nice. All right, so we finished with making our PT474. Let me double check that. Nope, I inverted. All right, so we're done with our PT474 Skull Ceramic arrangement. I went ahead and used 6 live roses to fill in his hairline, I guess we can call it his hairline. And they all fit really well. You probably are gonna be fine using 6 every time unless you're using tinier roses. I also used some midnight foam for the roses to make sure that they stay nice and snug and that they're getting a good healthy gulp of water with some flower food in it, so that they last as long as possible. I do think this arrangement will actually look absolutely fantastic once it starts to die, which is a bit odd. It's not what you normally think when you're working on arrangements, but it is a Halloween arrangement and it's a skull. So once the roses start to kind of wither away, I feel like the petals are gonna fall off and like hang out around him and just look really eerie. And I really think that's gonna be like fantastic with this design. So if that does happen, I may end up posting some photos or showing another video of him. But I am gonna take this guy home. This guy's going to my house for the weekend at least, and we'll see how it holds up. I may post some little highlights on our story, but we'll see. So I just wanted to go over again what we used other than the foam in the container. I had a pair of clippers, which is really just obvious. Some people may prefer to use a stem puller than just peeling off the few leaves that I had. Since I was cutting it so short, I just tried to avoid hitting any, what's it called? Thorns, which most of them were taken off, but there were some left, unfortunately. So again, this is our PT474 ceramic container. It's available in all of our stores and online, and we have plenty of stock. This guy should be in store for the whole holiday season with a bunch of other fantastic items in the Halloween line. I will give a sneak peek. I think this guy is going to be my next arrangement. He is from our Halloween display in Camarillo. I really like these containers for the fall/Halloween season. They're not technically a part of our Halloween line. If you go to the Halloween page or even to the website, they might be on the website. I might have added them to the page. They're not there. They're in our containers page. They're a French, I keep forgetting the name. They're a French, no, not French cat, it's not casket. What is it? It's gonna drive me crazy. I'm going to think about this for the rest of the weekend as to why I can't remember the name of a container that I really actually do like a lot. So I'm like, okay, Michaela, what's going on? Okay. Bear with me, I'll probably fast forward through this part. Okay. They are not named on here, so I can't tell you the name. I can tell you the item number. So if you're looking at our catalog, they're on page 122. High luster plastics, that's the category they're in. So they'll probably be in that category on the website as well. But the item number for the shadow cat, I don't know, for the unknown named item that I seem to know it's French something, is PLM 89, yeah, 890 BPL. So we have that's this one, and then the taller one that I will be doing the design in is PLM 730 BPRL. So great option. There's also a an urn. I think it'd be considered an urn. No, it might not be considered an urn. There's another shorter option, but I don't think it fits the vibe as well. So keep that in mind. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed our ceramic skull container with roses in it. I think he looks fantastic, and he will be coming home with me for the weekend. Maybe keep your eyes out for some updates. We'll see how he does.